Elbaf has been an incredible arc so far, and it has brought us many memorable moments already. Recently, in chapter 1139, we got another one of these moments with the reveal of Skipper Gaban. Amongst this hype reveal is the giant stating that despite not being even the first in command on the Roger Pirates, Gaban still has equal strength to that of both Rayleigh and Roger himself. Being that One Piece is probably the most agenda-filled community, even up there with sports communities, the slander of Roger's strength was bound to happen at one point or another. What's up guys, my name is Verdix, and today I am discussing if Roger was actually a fraud. If you enjoy videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I put out quality content like this weekly, you won't want to miss. Before we go right in, I just wanted to define what I mean by fraud here. Obviously, Roger is not weak, but of course he is or was considered to be one of, if not the strongest of all time. But since new arguments and evidence have come into play, we are really going to be putting Roger's strength into question today. The first thing we should discuss is whether or not his commanders were truly equal to their former captain. From the few feats we have seen from him so far, Roger was one of the few men at God Valley who took down rocks along with his crew and the aid of Garp. We know from Kaido's top 5 that he has actually seen Roger's strength and condemns him to be in the same level of guys like Whitebeard, Shanks, and Rocks. Kaido actually compliments Roger a few times during his fight with Luffy, so I am very confident Roger is strong enough to be above Kaido and still be considered relative to his peers at the time like Garp, Whitebeard, and so on and so forth. He was also able to famously clash with Whitebeard and fight against him and his crew for 3 days and nights and come out pretty unscathed. Before they started fighting, Roger ran into Oden, who got sent flying across the island with one attack, and then went on to witness his clash with Whitebeard and consider himself to be inferior in terms of strength to them. So I don't really believe that Oden was around his level whatsoever. I mean, even he would say so, but do Rayleigh and Gaban really match him in strength? Well, for Gaban, we are going to see shortly what he can do as he challenges Luffy for the key, but one point I wanted to mention for both Gaban and Roger here is that Gaban knows Luffy defeated Kaido and still is unsure of his strength and needs to test his strength himself. To me, this is Gaban saying defeating Kaido isn't enough to prove Luffy can be the king. We might see a power clip happen this arc, but as for now, we have yet to see him in action during the making of this video, so we'll just have to wait and see what the future has in store. As for Rayleigh, well, we see during the 3-day and night fight between the Roger and Whitebeard pirates, he was no diffing a young Marco and going unscathed throughout the whole fight. He also, along with Gaban himself, was willing to fight Oden before Roger stepped in. I do believe that both of these guys were stronger than Oden, and most likely Kaido while they were in their primes. Even as an old man, we see Rayleigh is a threat the Navy would rather let lie down in peace than go after. As Garp himself states, they would lose a good amount of men even trying to take him down. When one of the Navy's top guys in Kizaru arrives to Sabaody, we see for a short while, Rayleigh can stall him from killing the Straw Hats, but not necessarily overpower nor defeat, as he quickly would become overpowered and pushed back by simple swordplay from Kizaru, who we saw even while holding back, can do a lot more than just that. Don't forget, Kuma was the only reason the Straw Hats got out of that situation. Later on in the story, we saw he was able to scare off Blackbeard from killing Boa, but admits he wouldn't have been able to defeat him. Now, I don't think Roger would have been pushed back this easily by Kizaru aimlessly swinging his sword around. If he lived to see his old age, I don't doubt Kizaru could win against him, but I do believe that Roger would have done way better here than Rayleigh did. And another thing is, when the Giants state that these 3 men are equal, I don't think they are reliable sources who have seen Roger and a Rayleigh fight. It's kind of like Kaido's top 5. They're all definitely extremely strong and could push each other to a high diff fight, but in my honest opinion, this statement is just Oda hating power scaling and being annoying as shit with it again like he's done in the past. According to Sandman on Twitter, who, if you aren't aware, is a Japanese born and speaking citizen who does translate some confusing pages for us, in which he states that the Japanese expression for standing shoulder to shoulder with someone is very ambiguous, and it is hard to determine whether Oda is referring to strength or fame here. Like I said, Oda makes power scaling as annoying as possible. The same thing was said for Jinbei and Arlong, so I don't think Oda believes these guys are all equal in strength here. There's absolutely no way that the captain of the crew and the man that became the only king of the pirates is equal to the men that are his commanders. Relative, yes, but I doubt it was actually equal, so I don't really believe this statement myself. Another man we have to talk about him being equals or possibly not equals with is Whitebeard. Now, this has been a debate because of Whitebeard's World's Strongest Man title and Roger's King of the Pirates title not being defined off strength. This always is an annoying debate to me, not because of any answer, but because Oda really makes it unclear as possible of if or if not Roger was stronger than Whitebeard. They have clashes with each other for days, but come out unscathed and laughing with each other. But before Roger was taking down a pirate crew, Whitebeard was in, but then after he gives Whitebeard the World's Strongest Man title, it's so fucking indecisive and Oda really doesn't help me or any of us with that shit. But my opinion on it goes like this. Roger was actively going against more threats than Whitebeard by roaming the seas in search of the One Piece, while Whitebeard was just chilling making a family for himself, while Roger was actually out there making moves. Roger, like I stated before, is of course exceptionally strong, and that idea that his title doesn't require strength to obtain is kind of ridiculous to me. The guy was even asking to take on the likes of Garp and Sengoku, and similar to Luffy, enjoys the thrill of fighting. He wasn't a hack like Buggy, who is generally where he's at because of pure luck. Roger got to where he was at because he was able to lead his crew, explore the necessary islands, and fight off his enemies. What guy that's a fraud would be able to go against Whitebeard for 3 days and nights and come out just fine laughing it up? It just doesn't make sense for him to be a fraud to me. The last thing I wanted to talk about was his comparison to the current generation and if he could hang with the current top tiers of today. Now, Chinjiao states that defeating both the Admirals and Yonko was something not even Roger could have done, so people tend to use this to downplay Roger as well, but I'm of the belief it was just because the Yonko and Admiral situation at the time wasn't what it is today. The best way to compare how Roger would do against the top tiers of today is to see what the old generation has done against the current and then put Roger in his prime in their boots. Well, like I said earlier, Rayleigh was getting pushed back by a unserious Kizaru, but I believe if Roger was there and in his prime, the Straw Hats would have most definitely been able to escape without the help of Kuma. A guy that was able to fight Whitebeard in his prime for 3 days and nights would most definitely be enough to suppress Kizaru, if not defeat him. Garp, who is stronger than Rayleigh, was able to go up against Kuzan and perform better than Rayleigh did against Kizaru. Still though, Kuzan did defeat him while nerfed, as it is shown in his character and Garp outright says it a few times. He was still enough in his old age to put up a good fight against Kuzan and even perform a monstrous galaxy impact. If Prime Roger was in this situation, a few things would be different. First thing is Kuzan wouldn't be holding back, but Roger would also be able to be enough of a threat that Kuzan would have to go all out and freeze the entire island like he did on Punk Hazard. And by the way, Shiryu is not stabbing him like he did Garp. I know the intended target was Kopi, but a Prime Roger would be able to easily counter this. I have no doubt in my mind about that. Now, Kuzan was able to punch just as hard, if not harder, when going all out than Garp, who Roger was able to fight against. Roger could definitely make Kuzan go all out and possibly defeat him in the process. Kaido also acknowledges Roger above himself alongside Whitebeard, Rocks, and Shanks. Odin, who he also puts in that list, admitted inferiority to Roger and Whitebeard, and Big Mom isn't even on that list, and someone we can be certain that Kaido knows their strength. At the end of the day, Roger is clearly still an all-time top tier that could take down a majority of the verse in a 1v1. A lot of these fraud talks are because people in the community are so quick to downplay anyone that doesn't fit their agenda. Roger being a fraud just makes no sense, and him versus Whitebeard is a conversation for another day, but he is clearly still on par with him in terms of strength, and a man that was most certainly worthy enough to have become the king of the pirates. Well, that's it for you guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. It really helps with the algorithm and is very appreciated. What did you guys think? Is Roger stocks dropping in your eyes? Let me know in the comments below, as well as any video ideas you would like me to make. Follow me on Twitter at verdicts_ for more of my takes. And without further ado, you guys can get out of here.